Hi everyone, this is Rachel Vindman, and I'm on Red Wine and Blues' first ever Troublemaker Tour. I'm sitting down with suburban women in Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania to hear about what matters to them. Welcome to my kitchen table conversations. Hi everyone, this is Rachel Vindman, and I'm here on the first stop of my Troublemaker Tour. I'm sitting at a kitchen here in Rochester Hills, which is a suburb of Detroit, Michigan, and I'm joined by Kathy and Sujata and Ebonei. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited about this. Can we just take a moment and everyone go around and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm so excited to have you all here. This is
Yes, thank you for hosting.
It's a real pleasure for me. Thank you.
And I just want to state that while we're doing this, Kathy's children's school is under lockdown just down the street, and that's like a real thing. So she was like, I might have to check my phone. I'm like, girl, check your phone. But, you know, that's the reality of where we are in this moment, in this country. And I think that's one of the things as we as moms are all trying to fight against.
Yeah, it's a little scary when people were coming here to do this podcast. That's how I first found out that my kids are actually right now still under lockdown, and we don't have official information, but I normally wouldn't have my cell phone doing something like this. But
yeah, I mean, I think everyone can relate, but that's part of why we do what we do, right? We'll get into that in a minute. So Sujata, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi, my name is Sujata, and I'm also thrilled to be here. Thank you very much, and it's wonderful to meet you. I live in Novi, Michigan, and I have two kids that are in 6th and 7th grade.
Okay. Ebonei.
Hi, I'm Ebonei. Thank you for having me. I am an Army veteran, as well as I used to be, and now a retired high school cheer coach.
You know, I really think the combination of Army veteran and dance coach is really amazing, and probably most coaches would be better if they had Army experience prior to this. So you might want to write a how-to book or something. That sounds great. Well, as we all know, because if you do anything with red, wine, and blue, or, you know, go anywhere else, the midterms are coming up fast, coming in hot. A lot of people, I mean, historically, midterms certainly go to, you know, the incumbent party loses seats. But this time, I think we have a chance to a historical election of sorts. But how are you guys feeling about it in Michigan specifically? Sujata, you want to start?
So just a little bit of background. I have gotten involved in the political scene in the last year. My husband actually this year is running for Oakland County Commission here in Oakland County. Last year he ran for mayor of Novi, and so it's been a crash course, but it's been really great. I do think that there's a good chance that if we can get out the vote, there's enough happening, there's enough that's kind of threatening the way of life that we've known for all of our lives, that if we can get people out to vote, I think we have a good chance at not having the norm be the truth, where the incumbent party loses seats. And I really hope that's the case here in Michigan. I mean, I think in at least in my little world, I do feel pretty good about it. So this year I'm hoping with the big races, and we've got, obviously here in Michigan, we've got a couple of really big ones with the governor, the secretary of state, the attorney general. We need to make sure that
I would say. Yes. I mean, these are things that will affect Michigan, but also affect the whole country.
For me, this really is there's a lot at stake from the state level, from the federal level, and from a local level. And so an entry point in my community and with my friends is our local Board of Education race, which is very contentious and unfortunately very divided. It's a very purple state. We live in a very purple town. And I think people are, the election's close and people are starting to really pay attention.
Yeah, after Labor Day, everyone's really checking in, yeah.
Yeah, I am hopeful. I see the tide turning a little bit online, and I feel like people are starting to speak out more and become more aware. And I'm just speaking of, maybe friends or acquaintances online, people that haven't really shared a lot of information.
We all have those friends. Yeah, we all.
Yeah. That I see them speaking out a bit more. And like in my town, we have 3 spots open on the Board of Education. And it is, it's a very heated, contentious race that's really unfortunately divided our community. But I feel very empowered to use the resources that I have and to actually speak out and to make sure that people know who the candidates are. Yes. And that's what I start seeing. That's what I'm starting to see now. People are saying, these are the candidates that I'm supporting. And not necessarily looking for an argument or looking to change anyone's mind. But as people start to pay attention, and I'm sure closer to the election, get these names out there. Make sure people know what the candidates stand for. And so for me, I'm definitely having a lot of conversations about what the candidates stand for. And I've gone down these rabbit holes that aren't pretty. And if I can spare that rabbit hole for one of my friends and they say, who should I vote for? Yeah. Because they trust that I'm a bit more plugged in. I've been active in the schools for a long time. I can give that information out confidently.
What about you, Sujata? Like, your husband's running for office, so you're out canvassing and talking to people, but how are you also engaging with maybe even your friends as well?
Yeah. So, I think like a lot of people, 2016 was kind of a gut punch.
Yeah.
And so, like many people, I decided I needed to do something. I needed to not be complacent. I needed to be actively involved. So I did. I got involved in a few different things. We have a really great grassroots organization here in Metro Detroit called SAMOSA, South Asians of Michigan Organizing for Serious Action. So it's a demographic, especially in Novi, we have a lot of, a big population of South Asians. So that group has been around for a while. So I got involved with that group. I do try to talk to my friends. I do try to put things out for people that I've known for a long time and make sure that they're informed and make sure that they know what's going on and make sure that they're going to vote. I don't know how successful I am sometimes. I think a lot of people for a long time, we're not going to talk politics. It's too divisive. It's too, it's too upsetting. We're not going to do it. So I think in some ways I've also kind of now, a lot of my time is spent in this world. So I'm, kind of talking within people that already feel the same way I do. Yeah. So that can be kind of difficult. But, as much as you can on social media, sharing things out, and trying to comment here and there and hoping that people see what you're saying. And of course, having those conversations. I was at a door, fun fact, I was at a door the other day. And I said, I'm here to talk to you about a couple of candidates that are running for local office. And I went through my spiel and I said, and of course, we have the school board on the back of the ballot. We have judicial candidates. We have ballot proposals. There's a lot going on. I said, do you have a plan to vote? Are you going to vote? And the gentleman says to me, nah, I don't really vote. I'm not, unless somebody makes me vote or forces me to vote. I'm like, okay, that's me. I'm here to force you to vote. And he said it multiple times in the conversation. I said, well, this is me. I'm taking time. And I did. I told my kids this story afterwards and they're like, you didn't really say that? I said, no, I did. But I said, I'm taking time out from my night, from my kids, from my life to come and talk to you about this. So this is me telling you, you need to vote. And I think that we just have to be bolder about it.
We do have
to,
Yes. And I applaud
this
you.
Maybe kind of thing doesn't work this year. I'm also very encouraged by what I'm hearing. I'm not taking anything for granted, but I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing about record numbers of young people and women that are newly registered to vote. Obviously, the title of this pod, I love it. And if they thought there was a problem before, they haven't seen anything yet. I really think that November is going to show that what kind of a problem suburban women can actually be.
Yes. A lot of suburban women, myself included, basically we paid to live in places where the schools were good. And now, none of that is really guaranteed because it's being eroded by nefarious actors. I don't even really understand why some of these things happen or why some people have these goals. And we were talking about that before this, like, why do they even want to do this? Like, what is the motivation? And we can hypothesize about it all the time. Is it control? Is it just general unhappiness and they're just trying to find something to do, like go read a bunch of books and then decide they should be banned?
Well, the
Not
crazy,
reading them.
yeah, they're not reading them, right? Well, the crazy thing is that, Kathy's district, my district, they're top districts in the country, or in the state and the country. And for these people to come in and try to dictate what's going to happen, our district too, we've lost our entire front office, our administration. All of them have left in the last 6 months. 3 of them were PhDs. Yeah. I mean, what kind of district has that, and what kind of district loses that? One of our administrators went to the neighboring district because the neighboring district recognizes that there's value to that, to that leadership. And what's crazy is, I'm also involved in our school board race, and it's also, craziness right now. And one of the candidates running this time around has taken the time to talk to students, because we think, let's see what they have to say. And it's really interesting because the things that their parents come to the podium outraged about and want to change, you ask them, are these your priorities? Are these things that you're worried about? And they're like, no. Mm-hmm. They don't see it as a problem. They don't see it as an issue. And so it's manufactured.
I think this is really 100% true, that the kids don't see it as a problem. Obviously, Ebonei, I mean, you know this because you worked with your dance team, you have children, that they have their own opinions about things, I mean, and first, Ebonei, I will ask you, Lindsey Graham proposed a nationwide 15-week abortion ban. So how are you talking to people in your community? How have you decided to get involved, I guess?
So honestly, for me, it's twofold. So I'm a hairstylist in Utica, which is it's different. I can definitely say I get a little bit of both. Luckily, my clientele is very diverse. So how it goes there is it's just random talk. It's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people believe it's simply about the fetus or a religious aspect. And then as we continue to talk, I let them know, you do understand there's medical issues that come up. You do understand that a lot of these children are wanted. Yeah. It's not a choice that a woman or a family wants to make. You do understand, even if they do and decide to have an abortion, that's not an easy decision for any woman to make. There's different scenarios that are covered under this entire ban. Mm-hmm. And as they start to talk, they're like, oh, I didn't know. Well, wait, what about? And it's like, exactly. Yes. Like you blindly are just following these things because in this area, that's what y'all are told to do, or that's what you believe.
About part of it, because if you talk about the rest of it, then people are going to say, I interviewed someone who had a quote unquote like late term abortion, which is, by the way, just a reminder, totally a political term, not a medical term. Mm-hmm. But she told her story, but she was one of those people who thought, why would people do this? Until she was in that position. And I mean, you've seen it. You've talked to these people. They don't know the other part of the story.
At all. And they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They don't want to know, because once they hear it, they have to then empathize, or they have to then think about it for a moment. And then a crazy thing, and talking with my son today, because I feel like more men need to be out here speaking about these issues as well, education wise, and, the abortion ban and the women's rights. And in talking with my son, I realized at 21, he's aware, but he's not. So he was like, Mom, I don't even plan on living in the United States much longer. And that shook me for a minute, but I understood. Mm-hmm. And then in the same breath, he was like, right now, my girlfriend's not thinking about having a baby. She's on birth control. I said, son, you do understand that's under attack too.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's not just the babies. It's what prevents them. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, Ray is fighting to continue to take the pill. Like, these are things that you don't know. You have to take that moment and understand it affects everybody.
I love that just the idea of having conversations, because I think, as Kathy was saying, this is where you're just introducing these ideas to people, and they'll take what you said, just like they take all the other stuff in. They're taking in what you said, and that's important. And I hope the person that you talk to, Sujata, is going to vote. But what is it? And this is really the crux. This is one of the main things I want to get out of this Troublemaker Tour is what is holding people back, your friends, your peers, what's holding them back from being involved? And or what is an example of someone who has gotten involved and like what was the breaking point for them?
I know a lot of people where I come from, they don't feel like they have a voice. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times they don't go and vote. They don't pay attention because in certain areas, you're ignored. Mm-hmm. You don't see the difference. So with something like a lot of things that are under fire right now, those areas are going to be the ones that are affected the most. So I feel like a lot of times now people are coming out more, people are paying attention. And like you had said earlier, the younger ones are now realizing, hey, this is us. And I had did a roundtable a few weeks back with the governor, and one of the people that were sitting there talking, her point was, I had more rights than my daughter does. Mm-hmm. And I sat there and I thought, really, as someone who's about to have a granddaughter, she is who I'm out here talking about now. Right. It's not even about me. It's about her and the fact of how is it she's not even born yet and y'all have stripped her of her rights. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so frustrating.
I mean, but you're absolutely right.
But it's true.
I mean, that's absolutely true. And, I was thinking about the question you were asking, Rachel, and I don't know what holds people back because at this point, like I said, I feel like it's all hands on deck. We are, this is not a joke. We need to do something about it. From my part, to Ebony's point, the younger generation, my kids, like I said, are 12 and will be 11 next week. And since last year, we made it a family affair. They are at the doors with us every single time. They make the pitches. They're informed. They know who our school board candidates are. They know who their congressional rep, their state rep, their state senator, all of it. They know all of it. I tell them all the time, I said, look, I wasn't as involved. And so, and look at the position we're in now.
Your question is an interesting one. I think what holds people back is fear.
Yeah. That's my suspicion, but we'll see if people agree.
I think emotions boil down to fear and love. Like every emotion I feel like is a derivative of one or the other. And I, when I said the tide was turning, I think it's turning more towards love. Not to sound like a hippy dippy here, but and there's strength in numbers. And you know what motivates people? The Dobbs decision. Mm-hmm. When I first heard that, my first thought was, oh dear Lord, what have they done? The tangible effects on women's and children's health is where the focus needs to be, not on theoretical, where does life begin? I'm overhearing conversations by, two white guys at a restaurant. And, I'm not eavesdropping because they're super loud, maybe a little drunk too. But they are, they're talking about abortion and when does life begin. And then the next day I'm listening to a podcast. Again, two white guys. And they're talking about the same thing. And they didn't have like solid biology, reproductive facts. And I thought, what? People are dying. Mm-hmm. This is not a theoretical argument. And if you guys can't agree on it, why are you making laws that affect real people right now, their health right now? I think one thing that has really helped the conversation is that, abortion used to be like the word Voldemort. Like you just couldn't say it.
It's true.
And now we're normalizing the conversation. I find myself, I was doing a red wine and blue meetup at the park. And there was this older gentleman and he started, engaging in conversation. Oh, you brought me coffee. And so we started this conversation and, he was a lifelong Republican and he I saw like an in there. Because what he said was, well, I can't believe the candidates that they're putting on. I mean, no exceptions for rape and incest. And I was like, oh my God, this is exactly the person that we're trying to reach. You know, he's a moderate, and he was really he was older, so he didn't, you know, the school board issues were not like I mean, he lives in the town. He'd be voting for those people, but he doesn't have kids in the district anymore. And having these conversations with complete strangers, it's normalizing it. And if I could tell a brief story.
Absolutely.
My mom, my dear sweet mother, she is 85 and just the sweetest, kindest person, really, like I have ever met. She is conservative and Catholic, and this was just a few weeks ago, right? And I had just gotten this position with Red, Wine, and Blue, and we were in a 2-hour car trip, was the two of us, and I said, Mom, can I practice for my new job on you? And you could tell, like, she was weighing, like, her maternal, like, yes, I want to help my baby, but also I don't want to talk politics. But you know what? The maternal instinct, like the maternal love won out, and I had a captive audience, so that helped. But we had a really lovely conversation. I think and I always suspected we had more common ground. We talked a lot about these exceptions. We talked about ectopic pregnancies. We talked about miscarriages. We talked about the legal definitions in some of these states' bans, and Michigan is hanging on by a thread. And that's why this election is so critical. And she's 85. She's seen a lot, and she's experienced a lot over the years, and her heart has always been in the right place. And it was really encouraging for me to be able to have this conversation. I just think we're starting to normalize these conversations and these topics.
I completely agree. We have to normalize it and talk about it so that we can have the conversations. But if everyone like shrinks back and shrivels when you have the conversation, then that's a problem, you know, and if everyone shuts down. So, but I mean, if you can have the conversation when you're getting your hair done, you can have the conversation in the car with your mom or anytime, you know, I mean, it's important that we have those ideas, that we educate ourselves and are able to talk and educate others. What is one thing that you wish the political class, politicians, and pundits also, because I think pundits oftentimes miss the mark a lot. What's one thing that you wish they knew about suburban women or just women in general?
I think that the mainstream media in all of its forms has gotten the essence of women wrong since before I can remember. And I'm embarrassed to say that before I had kids of my own and live in this suburban life, I had no idea how hard this parenting gig was. And I was
a lot better parent before I had a child.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was a much better parent.
I need that coffee mug that I've seen people have it, but that's, how I have every day.
I think that, women have been the backbone of society. And
which we've realized during the pandemic, I think. We were talking about that earlier, we bore the brunt of so many of the restrictions of the pandemic, and gladly, a lot of us, I know myself, but we felt it more than anyone. So I think now we're like, hey, wait, you relied on us and we're here and you might want to listen to us. But I still don't think they're listening.
And we're tired.
We are tired.
So burnt out. And, suburban women and women in general, we're strong.
Yes.
We're strong. And we are empowering each other. I think we're undervalued and underestimated.
I mean, for me, I get to see it from both sides because my background is definitely not suburban. But I made it to suburbia, so I can speak
for better or worse. Yeah.
Right. But I feel like for both points, I feel as if women as a whole are just not ever heard.
Yes.
We do it all. Like the biggest thing that I tell a lot of my clients is when they come and see me in the chair at the salon, it's like This is your moment to be you. You're not mom, you're not sister, you're not wife, you're not employee. This is the time you get to be Ebonei. This is the time you get to be Kathy. This is your time. We don't get that a lot. But like you said, if we're not handling the house, the job, the kids, the husband, if we're not doing that as women, it crumbles. So how dare you come and now attack us and make it about us when you don't even know us? Like, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, when we start talking about all the other things that may come up as far as the abortion rights, I come from a different point of view. My point of view is simply, why is what I choose to do in my home affecting you?
Yeah, I agree.
Why is how you feel or what you believe more important than what I believe? And out there where I am, I call it Trumpville. I do. But it's like, y'all made such an outrage about masks and your right not to wear it, but then turn around and say, you can now tell me what to do with my body. That's not my right, but it's your right not to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part that bothers me. And as women, to not even be heard, but you're making decisions about us. That's the biggest misconception. Like, we just at home eating bonbons still.
Yeah.
Do y'all really believe in 2022 that's what we're doing?
We have to walk that fine line, because then it becomes, oh, she's just angry, or she's just, like, it becomes this, men can speak up and be assertive and be aggressive even. And it's like, oh, well, they're just stating their opinion, but a woman does it.
No, it's definitely misconstrued. Yeah.
That's a big thing that I make sure to tell my cheerleaders. Being an African-American woman, it's like, when you do make it to suburban life, it's 3 strikes against you. It's 1, you're from the hood. And to move into a house that some people will never dream of is like, how dare you? So right there is, I'm from the hood. The second part, I'm African-American. So I have neighbors that look at me and be like, how are you here? And then third, I'm a woman. So to look at my cheerleaders and tell them, you already have 3 strikes. So when you make it there, they already don't want to hear you. They want to see you, and they dang sure don't want to live next to you. So you got to yell a little louder. So when we start to yell a little louder, like you said, we're then the angry black woman, or we're aggressive, or, we don't know what we're talking about. But we can say the same thing that the man next to you says. And you'll be like, that was genius.
Yeah.
He literally...
But I think, to Kathy's point, but there's strength in numbers. And I just think they have woken a sleeping giant who realized, really? Well, look at all the things I did during COVID. Look at all the things I worked, managed my kids, whatever their schooling was. It wasn't normal for sure in most places. And I did all this and managed to keep all the trains running on time. And you're not going to take away my rights. And not only are you not going to take away my rights, you're not going to take away my daughter's rights. And I am going to fight you tooth and nail because I found my voice and I can. And that, I think, is the power, of where we are right here. And I think we're realizing that. And if we keep having these conversations and keep normalizing talking about it and reaching out and allowing our friends, this is important, I think, giving them permission to feel those feelings that they have, because they do. They're not different than us. We talked about that. They're not different, but those thoughts are in the back of their head. And if we can just plant that seed, I do think it will make a difference. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. This was an amazing kickoff to this tour. It's going to be hard to top this, and just such a thrill for me to be here with you. So thank you for your time, but thank you so much for sharing with me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Rachel. And Rachel, thank you as well, to you and your family for all that.
Absolutely.
You've done.
Thank you.